All right, I'm live. And I have to be quiet because my roommate is sleeping. It's 3 in the morning. I'm pretty sure, I'm hoping you guys can hear me. It will not use, last time I thought I was using my Logitech camera. And I set it to Logitech, but it doesn't seem to be working. There's no settings that I can see. All right, so I'm hoping you all can hear me. And shit. My roommate is literally in the next room, probably trying to sleep, so I have to be quiet, which is hard for me to be quiet. So I can't sleep. But the first thing that I want to say is one of the coolest things about MGTOW is it's like void of any kind of doctrine, like religion or anything like that, so that it's like a neutral environment where because like my biggest problem hanging around with a lot of, as a Christian, hanging around, and I only bring up my Christianity because it's probably going to come up eventually, and I like to let people know up front where I'm coming from, and and I don't and I don't mean like I'm a church. I'm not. I don't hang out much with the Bible bashing Christians because I'll make some, I will get my little comments in here and there with people, but generally I let people work out their own salvation, their own purpose in life, and you know what I mean. And if they ask me for guidance, I'll try to give them guidance, but I don't like to. I heard a Christian once say that if you counsel somebody too much, it becomes basically witchcraft. You're giving them like a step-by-step way of getting results, which becomes like almost like a ceremony or something like that. It's almost ceremony, you know what I mean? Other than people figuring out for themselves what works. But if people ask me, I will. So back to what I was saying, one of the first things I want to say is the coolest thing about MGTOW is because as a Christian, as a follower, as a person who tries to follow Christ and tries to follow the example of biblical men and standards, basically it was hard for me to come to the table with atheists, and I don't like Satanists, period, but whatever. MGTOW is like a neutral area where it's almost like, because what I'm trying to say is like following I follow biblical principles, which a lot of atheists I feel you atheists, you steal biblical principles, but then you poo-poo the Bible and God, and I don't know how you can separate the two, but either way, I have a set of principles that I go by, and it's hard for me to deal with men that don't have any kind of principles or set of standards. You know what I mean? So MGTOW is almost like a set of standards that is void of the whole issue of God and and void of almost anything, even anthropology or it's a set of principles that any man can use. Now, here's my issue. People bash Christians constantly. Christians are basically impotent at this point, and bashing them is useless. Meanwhile, I believe Satanists. See, nobody cares about the Satanists. The Satanists Okay, they're out there. They're your real enemy. The Christians are not your enemy. Some of them are misguided and they're angry. Satanists don't tell you they're Satanists. You're like, how come they're out there? You know, how many Satanists do you know? They're if you know any Satanists, they're not, and they're serious, like, you know, ritual satanic people that are at war with God, that are at war with creation, and at war with moral. Okay, like the standard, you know, just as a little bit of history, Aleister Crowley basically set the new standard, not too long ago, actually, for Satanists, and he kind of took the biblical um rule, do no harm, basically, or whatever it is, you know what I mean, and he changed it to do as thou wilt. And so so basically, you know, um, Satanists, they don't have to play by the rules that we all play by. They don't feel they have to. And so my point is meanwhile, or while you're bashing Christians who are all but hiding in their churches now, Christianity is, it's basically impotent at this point. The media, meanwhile, Satanists are basically kidnapping children. You know what I mean? A lot of our problem, I think a lot of our problems in society is because Satanists have taken over, and they're not going to tell you that they're Satanists. So a Christian's going to tell you he's a Christian. And he's, most Christians, you can't get them to shut up about it, right? If they're a devout Christian. A Satanist will tell you they're a Christian, or they'll tell you, the Satanist is, what I'm trying to say is, Satanists aren't going to tell you, yeah, I'm a child sacrificing Satanist. No, they're going to get a job in foster care, and they're going to hunt your kid, or as a teacher, a Satanist that, a predator of that's looking for children, you know what I mean, and people. They're going to be a drug dealer. Okay, while you're pissed off about Christians, a Satanist is going to get your kid hooked on drugs. You know what I mean? He's going to get a family member of yours hooked on drugs. He's going to kidnap your child. He's going to steal your dog. You understand what I'm saying? Why would they do that? Oh, well, because it's do as thou wilt. And you can't go around doing as thou wilt if everybody's got a strong set of principles, right? And you want to just get banged, like you just want to have sex, you want to kill children, but now if people are addicted to drugs, oh, now all of a sudden people start slipping in their moral, you know what I mean? They start slipping as far as their values and morals are concerned. And, now they become an easier target. Suddenly they'll have sex with, a woman that's addicted to drugs will have sex now to get more drugs. You know what I mean? And if you listen to interviews with Satanists, they purposely, they'll put drugs into a community. You know what I mean? They'll join churches of Christians. Christians are like blind, deaf, and dumb. I'll tell you. Satanists will join churches. They'll buy public schools. There was a case where Ted Gunderson, who's a FBI agent, he found where Satanists bought an entire elementary school, and they were flying, and they had a dungeon underneath dug out, and they were taking the kids down in there and then transporting them to a little airport where they had a helicopter, and then they were flying these kids out into the hills of Los Angeles, where they were they were exposing these kids to sex, to these kids. Basically, this mother, how this all panned out. I'm just giving a quick example. This mother found her kids were drawing really disturbing pictures of grown-ups throwing little babies into fires, and so a big bonfire with with an adult, and tossing a baby into the fire. And so she started questioning, and then eventually I think she talked to an FBI agent about it. He didn't take her seriously at first, but when he started investigating, he found that the school then closed down. And he went and investigated it and found the tunnels underneath the school that were all filled in with dirt. And then he interviewed the kids, and he found out what was going on. And so my point being is, I'm trying MGTOW. I don't bring I'm not bringing Christianity to MGTOW. If people want to be a Christian, that's up to them. MGTOW is like a sterile atmosphere where men from every perspective can get together, and it even aligns with a lot of my principles. That's the only reason, as a Christian, that I'm able to participate in MGTOW, is because it lines up with my principles to basically avoid trouble and to avoid harlots, and to avoid, which most of the women are harlots now. You understand what I'm saying? So I'm basically indefinitely celibate now, because the purpose of family and marriage has completely been misconstrued, and it doesn't even really apply to our society anymore. The average guy, like I say, even if he wants to have a family, all you guys are 18, 20 years old. What are you making? $10, $12 an hour. You're trying to hook up right now. You think you're going to have a family on $10, $12 an hour? You ain't going to raise one kid. The first emergency, your girl's going to throw you under the bus and go to daddy government. Yeah, the military also has Satanists now. Yes, I'm trying. I am. I'm trying to give men shelter as much as I can. Good news so far. One of the dudes that I was going to give a room is back in his house. The mother's kicked out, and there's pictures of his baby on Facebook. So he was actually there for the child's birth. I'm of the opinion that once a woman pulls some shit like that she did with him, getting a temporary restraining order, kicking him out, making false, he still has to go to court for false allegations. That's not over yet. He could lose his guns over this. He just got his guns. He just got his guns like a month before he met this chick. I'm telling you. But anyway, he's not out of the woods yet, but it's looking better, is what I'm trying to say. It's looking better. So I'm trying to let her know indirectly through him that no matter what she does to him, he's going to have a place to stay, and he's going to have people looking out for him. And that's what women need to know. That's what women need to know. No matter what you CUNTSs do to these men, there's going to be a group of men there to back them up. And then maybe they'll be like, oh, maybe I better not mess with these guys. I don't. The men these days, and I'm not trying to be mean. It's just a matter of fact. It's like, you're not John Wayne, man. You can't take on the world by yourself. So, I'm trying to clear the air, because there's a lot of attacking of Christianity going on right now. Meanwhile, Satanists are running. I believe they're running most of the media. Basically everywhere. Like, Christians gave up all this territory, and who took it over? Satanists. So while Christians are hiding in their churches, Satanists are running the media. I believe they're running the police. I believe they're running the church. They're running a lot. They could be running the Protestant church. They're definitely running the Catholic church. They're probably running the courts, the judges. I mean, we don't even know, because Satanists don't come out and say, hey, I'm a Satanist and I'm trying to get a judge so I can get more kids into foster care, so that my other Satanist friend that runs the foster care system can get your kids into our dungeon where we can torture them and then crack their heads open and drink adrenaline. You understand what I'm saying? So everybody's going after Christians. That's all I'm trying to say. Who cares about Christians? Have become all, but it's like they don't even exist anymore. You know what I mean? They have no influence. I mean, trust me. Meanwhile, atheists generally steal and plagiarize from the Bible as far as the Ten Commandments are concerned. They also can't answer, nor do they seem to care where we've come from as a. I'm just stating things. Like, if you think I'm attacking atheism, I'm just stating what I've seen. And I'm just trying to clear the air. In other words, I'm trying to say you atheists have no room to talk. And they'll often put down Hitler, who was, as they bash Christianity, and then put down Hitler, who also bashed Christianity. And it's like, so you and Hitler are basically on the same side, but then you're going to bash Christianity. But my point is like, is basically, the atheists, you have no room to talk. And this is and atheists can push their atheism on people, same as a Christian can push their Christianity on people. So in MGTOW, although anybody who comes to MGTOW as a ministry, like how can I explain this? I feel like part of my ministry here on earth is helping men. But MGTOW is not the place for me to spread my Christianity, although I will, you're going to hear me talk about it, but it is a place for me to come and help other men. And I'm not like, after I get done helping, or I'm not like, yeah, we'll help you as long as you sit through this church service. You understand what I'm saying? It's just I'm here to help regardless. I'm not trying to save souls in MGTOW. I'm more trying to save lives. You know what I mean? But, I just see a lot of attacking of Christianity going on, when really, if you want to attack somebody, how come nobody attacks Satanism? It's because you don't know any Satanists, because they're not going to tell you. They're just going to take your dog. They're just going to take your child. They're just going to get your friends hooked on drugs. They're going to, you understand what I'm saying? They're going to, they're going to use women to, lure men into traps. The Satanists got their shit together. They're not fucking around. They'll Satanist males will, because I'm just going to give you an example of how cunning Satanists are. A male Satanist that's a really good male to female tranny, or vice versa, will become a female, will dress as a female, because they understand the inherent power that women have over men. MGTOW talk about it all the time, how powerful women are, their power over blue pill men, and they'll lead, and Satanists will dress as women and lead entire feminist movements. And then it's a man dressed as a woman, and all these women are following like the Pied Piper, and it's a Satanist. It's a male Satanist that they're following, and they don't even know it. And they'll be and that Satanist will go down in history as a famous civil rights activist, when it was a Satanist. So this lady was a great feminist that led in 19, like Gloria Steinem or something. And meanwhile, it wasn't even a female, and it had nothing to do with civil rights. It was a Satanist making it hard for you to find a wife and have kids. Do you understand what I'm saying? Jesus Christ is my bitch. India is a shithole. I like your name, India is a shithole. Oh, you know what, India? I have to agree with you. A lot of atheists are better than Christians in a lot of ways. As in, maybe they're not so hypocritical. But remember, it was, I don't know. I don't even want to get into it. Just, I understand. I don't even go to church because I don't because of all the holier than thou attitudes. They don't even get anything done. They're so busy reading their Bible that they don't ever go out and apply the Bible in real life. She could be. Roseblades could definitely be. That's what I'm trying to say. Like the reason you're not attacking Satanists is because you don't, India is a shithole, is sitting here, oh, I hate Christians. Meanwhile, Satanists have probably affected him in ways he can't even understand. Your life has probably been affected by Satanists in ways you can't even understand. India is a shithole. Yeah, I like shamanism. Yeah, exactly. Well, this is like, all right, MGTOW is a place where this is the point. This is why I like MGTOW, because Christianity, is kind of, okay, when it comes to getting together with other men, you know what I mean? There was no purpose in it for me before. To what? Drink, to do drugs, to fuck women. That's what it used to be all about. Now that there's an aggregate of men, there's a demographic of men that aren't about just getting fucking laid and drinking and having partying like women, basically just having fun. Now that there's men who are getting serious and have some actual real goals and are actually trying to do the right thing. Now it's like MGTOW created a bridge for me to come in and to start fellowshipping with other men. And that's all I'm trying to say. And because I'm also trying to say, while we bash Christians, just understand how powerful Satanism is right now in ways that you can't even imagine. If you want to bash some people, bash Satanists. And on that note, I'm going to take a smoke. I'm having a lot of fun right now. It's hunting season. I don't know how much hunting I'm actually going to do, but if I get a deer, I'll make a video. Last season, I saw nothing but doe. I saw like 6 does, and I had no doe permit. I ran into a guy in the woods today. I purchased a ghost blind, which I believe is really going to help me get a deer. I don't know if you've ever seen ghost blinds, but they're like, they're like corrugated plastic. Corrugated meaning there's like there's holes in it basically. So you can stick, like it's basically a blind that unfolds, and then on the side facing the deer or the turkey or whatever it is you're hunting, they have that one-way mirror window tint like you see on like mirror sunglasses or cars with mirror windows. So it reflects the ground and it pitches forward, so it reflects the ground in front of you. And they work so good. I was like 20 feet from a guy in the woods today, and he didn't even see me. I was sitting right there. And I was like leaning up against a tree, taking a nap, and I hear something coming. I'm all like, oh. And I got my bow with me, and I'm like, oh, here comes some. I was like, this is it, man. And then I see a guy walking towards me. I'm like, oh, fuck. But there was a tree stand, or like, okay, last year I was hunting, and it was a rainy day right at the beginning of the hunting season, and I figured the deer. There's a certain spot in these woods nearby where there's a lot of brush, and I figured the deer would go in there. And sure enough, I walked in there, and I'll be damned if I didn't almost like walk right into 2 deer, like that were standing in this. It's like a brushy area with paths all through it, and like they were basically like right to my left, maybe 15 feet away, and I didn't even see them. And then And I said, I can't remember what happened, but I wish I was like, I was like, something happened. I can't remember what it was that pissed me off. And I was like, I was like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. And I said it, I like whispered it. And as soon as I whispered it, I saw something move. And there were two deer standing like right fucking next to me. And I didn't even see them. That's how these deer are so camouflaged in the woods. They can be like standing right there. Sometimes you can't even see them. And they were like right there, like 15 feet away. I could have shot one. I don't know if they were does or bucks, though. I never apply for doe permits, but anyway, they took off as soon as I saw them. I was like, fuck. They were like standing right there. But my point is I went back in that area and somebody's already got a tree stand there. So I was like, shit. So I felt like I was intruding, but they weren't there. So I was like, fuck it. So I put up my ghost blinds and I sat there and I'm leaning up against the tree. And like I said, here comes a guy and he didn't even see me. And I was like, hey. Hey. And he looks over and he sees me. He's like, and he starts walking over to me and I walk over to him and it's a guy who lives on the edge of the woods where I'm hunting. And he caught me cutting through his property last year. And he said, hey, you hunting back there? I said, yeah. And we got talking and he said that I could use his property anytime I wanted to walk to, because there's not a lot of places to access these woods now. Everything's all blocked off. But he said I could go through his yard anytime I wanted. So I go in there and there he is today. And it's his tree stand. And he told me, he said, you can use, if I'm not here, you can use my tree stand. So I was like, yes. So, and we're both going to put up cameras and we're both going to inform each other on what's going on. But he says there's two big bucks. He said he wouldn't tell anybody else. He said, he's like, I'm only telling you, and he's a Christian. But he said, I'm only talking, he goes, I wouldn't tell anybody else. He goes, but I'll tell you. He said, there's two big bucks in here. So that means there's one for each of us. And he said I could use his tree stand. So I'm like, yeah. So I got a tree stand now that I can use. But anyway, yeah, it's hunting season. I'm having a good time. I might even go out here in about a couple hours, maybe. What is it? Well, it's getting on 4 o'clock. So about an hour, maybe an hour and a half or so. I'm going to get out there, but we'll see what happens. Hopefully I nail a deer this year. I should go sit in this tree stand right now and bring my stuff with me in case he comes, but he's got a really good spot. Basically, he's sitting right where I saw those two deer last year. And there's a big pile of poop right, like basically maybe 25 feet from the tree that his stand is in. There's a big pile of deer poop. So I know they're in there. If there's deer poop, it means they're hanging out there. Last year, I saw nothing but doe. No doe permit. They were running by me. They were like, I was like walking down the road with my shotgun, and it's like Bambi. There's like doe. There's like herds of doe running by me. Not one buck. I'm just like, what the fuck? Anyway, he had a gillisuit on. I tend not to use gillisuits. I should order one. I tend not to use them because I don't have one. But I do. I basically what I do is I wear, anything like I usually wear anything that will break up my or that will basically change my human form, because what deer see is a head. They see what deer see is your round little human head on, your human shoulders doing this, and they know, oh, that's a human. So what I do is sometimes I'll use a blanket or a poncho and just put a big bug. I'll put like a ski mask on, or one of those camo masks with like the ninja masks that are camo. But then that a lot of people don't do is I'll put a bug net I'll put a big black bug net over my head. You know what I mean? And then I'll put like a hat or something on top of that. So what it looks like, so I look like a big misshapen like bush or hedge or something like that. And I've been within 10 or 15 feet of deer. I'm going to tell you, the year before last, I missed a shot at a 10-point buck from like 15 or 20 feet away. It wasn't a broadside shot though. He was, you know, he wasn't perpendicular to me. He was, you know, he was in line, like his butt was right in my face. And I'll be damned if my arrow didn't smack him right in the ass. Like I must have missed him by like this much, man. I'm telling you, you know, if I would have paid more attention and like, you know, when I shoot, I can use my bow. I use my bowstring. Like here's the arrow and here's my bowstring like that. And what I'll do if I would have maneuvered the bowstring like this, the arrow would have went more at an angle and I would have got him. But I think the arrow probably just brushed right by him, basically. That was the most frustrating. I would say that was the most frustrating moment of my hunting career. Was a year and a half ago. I missed a 10-point buck from like 15 feet away. I was just like, oh man. I almost threw my bow on the ground and stomped on it and just was like, see you later. Never hunting again. Yeah. And with a camo net. Yeah, you're right. I really should, Joey, I really should get a ghillie suit. I think it'll help out a lot. Or make one. But so my message is that, you know, let MGTOW be. That's the cool thing about MGTOW. It's almost like you know, non believing men or non-religious men, whatever you want to call it, are now establishing a code of morals. And and that is going to allow a lot of men to align. Because if you don't have if men's only code of morals is to have a good time and fuck women, you're going to end up competing with each other. There's going to be no solidarity. You're going to be competing with each other. Now that MGTOW is forming, it's like even atheist men now are kind of getting a set of morals that we can all agree with, which is don't fuck with these women. You know, if you find a unicorn, I'm like, you know, I'm not like I'm one of these people. I know that almost nothing is written in stone. And every time you think you figured something out, oh damn, you know, you see something that shows you haven't figured it out yet. So, you know, and even by MGTOW existing now, it could force women to come correct. You know, understand what I'm saying? It could, if there's no men that want to fuck around and play these games with these women and all the men are aligned and helping each other, it could force women to come correct. So we have yet to see what happens. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know the future. Let me get some more coffee. You know, and as far as Christians being stupid too, let me tell you, there's a lot of scientists that are Christians. There's a lot of great authors that were Christians. So you can't really, you know, it's just, look at, nobody knows the answers on this planet. All you have is your life and your little perspective. And you got to figure things out for yourself. There's guides, there's people that will help guide you out here. You know, you got to figure out things for yourself as a man. Nobody's going to hold your little hand. So you got to figure things out. And, you know, I got to figure things out for me. You got to figure things out for you. But we can align in certain areas. And one of those areas is not to fuck with these crazy bitches these days. And that's a good start. That's a good start, because that will start creating men who have their heads screwed on their shoulders, who have resources, they'll have time, they'll have money. And that's exactly what the evil ass establishment doesn't want, because they want you to be their little worker ants. And they want you to be compartmentalized, and they want you to be polarized against each other over any little thing, because that allows them to control you. You don't control masses of people and get them to do your bidding instead of do what's best for you as their controller, instead of what's best for them, by having an informed, independent, you know what I mean, powerful, capable mass of people that can think for themselves. Right, Terminator said it. Bang. You want to protect your guns? Don't have a woman in your house. I'll tell you that right now. My friend is worried sick over whether he's going to lose his Second Amendment and lose his guns right now. Good, Terminator. That if there was any important reason ever to keep females out of your lives right now, it's to make sure you don't lose your guns. If you really, I mean, I don't see Americans really actually using their Second Amendment for what it's actually for at this point, but you know, that could change. I wish I knew all these things from, yes, I know, I hear you, Joey. I wish I knew a lot of the stuff when I was younger too. I wasted a lot of time chasing women, but I wasn't chasing them just to get laid. Somewhere in there, I was looking, like, because I grew up with a mother and a father and as far as families go, I had a decent family upbringing, and because I had that was my goal. But man, the women, the amount of women, the women that I ran into, they were all addicted to drugs. They were all prostituting, you know what I mean? Or they're getting their college degree and they're being independent and don't need a man. I was just like, fuck. I was like, how the hell do you even have a family now? So, life was sending me messages the whole time. I just wasn't getting them. Ooh, my plants, my garden just turned on. 4 a.m. on the dot. See, Joey, I was looking for a family too. I was looking for a family. I was trying to have fun, and I was under the impression that women were moral, and if you slept with one that she would want to, oh, you sleep with a woman, they love you forever. As soon as you have sex with a woman, they love you forever. What? Well, that's the one that got me. I was like, all right, I shouldn't really be having, sex out of wedlock because I don't want kids out of wedlock. I was like, but you know, these women, you have sex with them, they fall in love with you forever. What a load of crock, man. That was totally not true. That was totally not true. So I'm just hoping I'm you know, maybe my message isn't clear. Maybe I'll talk more on this. I'll ponder it some more. I'm just thinking, you know, you know, really think about who your real enemy is. A lot of Christians, they're dicks, they're hypocrites, they're self-righteous, holier than thou. Every time, everything you do and say, they're like, oh well, actually says in Ephesians, you know, 10, you know, chapter 10, verse 5, that you shouldn't be you know what I mean? I understand. But that's not your enemy. That's just some misguided, you know, that's just some, you know, I almost want to say it's like an intellectual Christian that's too intellectual. So intellectual they're paralyzed to, you know, they're just reading their book out. They're constantly reading. Men aren't supposed to be reading books and shit. Books are fun. Don't get me wrong. I used to read books by guys that used to hunt man-eating lions in Africa. You want to read some books about some real men? Read books about these guys from England that used to go down to Africa and India and hunt down man-eating tigers and shit like that. Real cases, you know, where guys were, you know, they fall asleep in a tree, right, in the jungle, and then they wake up. Oh, they're surrounded by baboons. There's 30 baboons hanging out in the tree, and they're like, oh man, I'm gonna die. Stuff like that. I like the seventh. Hey, DJ Han Solo, has anyone ever checked out the Seventh Day Adventists? I like the Seventh Day Adventists. They don't believe in hell. Well, they believe in hell, but they believe that hell's only temporary. and they operate under the assumption, why would a loving God torture anybody forever? And I have to agree with that. Why would a loving God ever torture anybody forever? And they showed me, I studied with the Seventh Day Adventists, and what they showed me was there's two meanings of forever. There's actual forever, meaning eternity, and then there's forever, meaning a really long time, like 1,000 years, or an age meaning forever. And so what the translation of when in Revelation it says Jesus cast Satan and all his followers into a lake of fire, and they burn before the Lord forever and ever. That means a really long time. It doesn't mean forever. So God punishes them, but then see, even an eternity. Okay, what they were saying to me basically is that eternity is a gift, and that even to give somebody who's evil eternal life in hell is still a gift. So what the Seventh Day Adventists teach, and what I believe the Bible says, is that he burns them for a period of time. Jesus does. Then until there's nothing left, and then all their souls return to God, the Creator, and they don't exist anymore. God is an alien. He may as well be. I'm having a lot of fun, but you know, I didn't intend for this to be church, but I'm trying to say, you know, you got your misguided, blind, useless, impotent Christians over here hiding in their churches now that basically can't get anything. They're about as you know, I don't know. They basically can't get anything done except unless it's, you know, except take your money basically. And then and, you know, and then you got the Satanists over here who you don't even know if they're Satanists, and they're here to do real harm to you. A Christian might do harm to you out of ignorance, out of naivety, maybe call the, you know, well, it's legal to smoke pot now. A Christian might hurt you because they're misguided and call the police on you because they caught you smoking weed or something. Oh, the neighbors are, hello, hello, satanic police. The neighbors are smoking weed, and God is against weed, and it's a sin. So I thought I would call 911. And you know what I mean? That's a Christian. A Satanist gets in your life, tells you there's something they're not, steals from you, causes harm, lie. You know what I mean? Like purposely, vindictively. Do you understand what I'm saying? Your enemy is the Satanists, not the you know. I avoid most Christians, though. You know what I'm saying? In fact, I avoid most Christians the way I would avoid most Satanists. But I'm just saying, I avoid them for two different reasons. But Christians help a lot of people too. Satanists are not here to help you, man. And the atheists, you know, basically MGTOW is where atheists, probably even Satanists, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? Not that I would trust a Satanist, but I'm saying because they would come into MGTOW to use it for their own purposes. You know, I could see a tranny. That's what I'm talking about. Someone like, you know, a Satanist would come into MGTOW like Rose Blades, basically, to cause disruption. But I'll tell you this, knowing what I know about Christians and Satanism, you MGTOW better beware, because your enemy will come in like that. The Bible is absolutely correct. There are wolves in sheep's clothing out there, and you better keep an eye on them. Like the mafia says, keep your friends close, keep your enemies closer. And that's just a word to the wise. And this is the MGTOW Misfit. Peace and have a good day or evening wherever you are.